Hi YouTube, it's Brad Phillips. We've got the V900, really cool plane. We filmed a true maiden on basically the sun going over the horizon deadline. It was crazy windy and this thing deserves a flight in the daylight. And this is our back. This is the back portion. I would call this the middle of our property. You're probably like halfway back right now. Our property is deep from the road. You guys don't see this area very often. But that tree line is the back tree line and we have almost all that tree line, but this area is all ours too. So I wanted to fly this back here today because the sun is behind the trees. Show them. Should make it a little easier to film. Plus we have the wind is coming right here along this bowl, so it should be pretty cool. So camera crew and I are gonna work this out right now. Throttle hold is off. You good?
Yep.
The thing that's nice about this plane is it's so powerful that you can like launch it however you want. That's 15% throttle there. Look at that.
Crazy.
That's out of the throttle. All the way up. That was a cornhole, if you want to call it that.
You need to do it within the atmosphere though.
Full throttle and up. Okay, right in front of us, you good? That is so fast.
Yes, it is.
Full throttle. I think we broke the sound barrier there. Just kidding, Elon. Just kidding. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna turn around really quick. Out of the throttle. Full throttle. Down by the trees. That is incredible. Guys, you need some room to really appreciate some of these planes, and this is where we can do it. You good? Just to give you an idea of how much ground we're covering, our property from here, where I am now, to here, that's like probably 475 feet that we just covered from right here to the edge of our property there. That's probably about 475 feet. So about 50% throttle there. Okay, we're gonna go full throttle at the edge of the lot line. Full throttle. That's so stinking cool. Oh man, I'm so glad we came back here now. The wind at our back feels so nice. It's extremely hot today.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, love the colors of this plane.
For sure.
Over the clouds, just kidding. So guys, if you have this plane and you're in it hard on your throttle, I wonder if there's a little bit of a voltage protection. So we're on, what are we flying on?
2200.
2200 4S.
Yep, 30C.
30C? Gen 2? Do you hear that noise?
Yep.
That was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, over the trees. And back down. Weird angle here. That is just so cool. That's where it's going from propelling the plane forward to braking. So it's a weird intermediate stage. Okay, that's our timer. 3, 2, 1. So we're technically out of time. I don't want to tempt fate, but I don't want to land with the wind. So camera crew, we're gonna go kind of just about where that, you see over to our right, camera crew, we've got where the sun hits. We'll try to kind of put it down there, okay?
Yeah.
This thing is real easy to land, folks. In fact, I'll try to just put it down at our feet if it'll work. Yeah, or we're probably gonna overshoot a little bit. That was a lot less scary than the first time. Throttle holds on, 35 seconds past our timer. Folks, if you have the right environment for this plane, it's hot out, but with the shade, it feels super nice here. And that was so cool to be able to see just how fast it is. These trees, okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have camera crew stay here, pause the video. I'm gonna run down there and stand next to that tree just so you have an idea of the scale of these trees.
Okay. Okay.
That's how big I am.
Can you see him?
Next to that tree, I bet that tree's over 100 feet tall.
Hey, I bet they can't hear you.
But you can talk.
The tree that he was standing under goes all the way up here. I haven't moved from where I started, and it's over 100 feet tall. Plus, right behind where he was standing a second ago is our ravine that goes down to our creek. And some of these trees that you're looking at actually start about 20 feet down from where he was standing and come up out of our creek bed.
The reason we wanted you to see that was because when you see this thing go by like this in like 4 seconds across our property, it's just incredible, the speed. Yeah. It is so fast. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pause. We'll get the battery switched. We'll show you on the XBC battery checker. Well, let's see. I don't think we have that telemetry.
I don't remember.
No. 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 No, I didn't think so. But yeah, so anyway, the whole point of this is so cool when you have the right environment. These really extremely fast planes, they demand more space than what we sometimes fly in. So as long as we give it to them, they're happy. So this place up here, if you look where the shade is, where the shade changes to sun, there's actually where that stake is, there's a crown, okay, on the knoll, where that stake is, okay? Maybe you could zoom. That stake is the crest of a knoll, which is kind of like a rolling hill, okay? So now show them the crest all the way up and all the way over. So my hope is someday to have planes flying off of there that might be carrying me or other people. But for now, they'll just be radio controlled airplanes. Now our other runway is more trapped, but you can see the tree line that is the vampire killing zone is over here. On the other side of this tree line, where those tree lines connect, this drainage ditch, it makes an island out of the front of our property. And then those both go together, and then they made up in a named creek back here. So that named creek is the back of our lot, okay? So basically, we have like an H with a big like T on the top of it. It's kind of weird. But the whole point is, the reason we show you this is because when we get ready, if you have a final, your final is almost at grade here from there. Whereas up front, we have to drop 60 feet down to hit where we're touching down. So if you touch down here, there's actually a gap in those trees you can't see from this angle. It's 100 feet wide. They put in a culvert there. So there's actually a gap. I could come in and go uphill to land on this. With a radio controlled airplane, the glide slope would be perfect, because if you come in there, you've got a glide slope of like one or 2 degrees to hit the edge of our lot line, which is really cool. So like on a real plane, you could go down and land uphill, and especially if the wind is going this way, which is dominantly, you know, that's the prevailing winds would come down this direction. So it would come from there to here. So, and when it's not coming from there to here, it's either going this way or it's going that way, but it more often than not goes that way. That's not necessarily so good, but I think about these things all the time. So anyway, we're gonna pause, we'll reset, and we'll show you that when we get it opened. Okay, so guys, just so you know too, one other kind of behind the scenes update is we have new lav mics coming right now. That thing is toasty. Yeah, it's warm. The reason I tell you that is because we know that with the wind, we've really struggled with our current setup. And last month, okay, so full rewind. When we got our lav mics, after much complaining from our audience for years, very reluctantly we adopted using the lav mics, and they worked really good for a while, for like almost a year actually. But we had some problems where there was just noise about when the Draco hit. And we don't know why. We don't know what changed that just like all of a sudden it just started doing it. It was like when the Draco was released. I was like, are you kidding me? It's like one of the biggest releases we've ever had. And it just so happened to coincide with that for some reason. We don't know why. But that was, what's the brand?
Those were Photo Welt.
Photo Welt. And they were like, I don't know, like $100 for the pair.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to be able to hear the snide remarks the camera crew makes.
Of course.
And so, of course, we had to do that. This is the Gen 2 pack. I would say that there's, you know, maybe of minimal consequence, slight puffage, like 1% puff. We're going to throw this onto the XBC checker. But anyway, the point is, when we bought those things, we wanted to get the Rhodes 13%. So we used it up, guys, because you'll remember. Now, it's been plugged in for a little bit, but that shouldn't have made a big difference. But these Gen 2 packs, when they tell you 4 minutes on this plane, they're pretty serious.
Yeah.
I wouldn't push it. And then I experienced, wow, look at that. This thing is toasty. Oh my goodness.
It is.
That's really toasty. So anyway, the reason we bring this up is because the audio quality has been a little bit lacking, and we are aware of it. We've bought some different stopgaps. Rhodes just finally came out with a dual receiver setup, so we can basically have 2 mic'd individuals
without having to have 2 complete sets of Rhodes and adapters and cords.
Yes, and we film shotgun style, which you guys already know, and you've come to either appreciate it or hate it and tolerate it or whatever it is you do. We do it that way because, like, quite honestly, if we didn't do it that way, we would not have time to produce near the footage that we do. And so we've kind of done it like, you know, would people rather have more content or content like everybody else does? And to be perfectly frank, I don't know. I don't know what you guys would prefer. But at this point, we aren't equipped to do a bunch of video editing. We just aren't. We can become equipped. We're capable of learning how to do whatever we need to do, but it just doesn't make sense for us. We feel like we'd rather put good content out and let you guys tolerate some bumps and bruises here and there and just get good information and maybe an enjoyable flying experience over, oh, well, there was a noise that day. But we know that when we're giving out technical information, it's very frustrating. Or if I'm telling some hilarious story and the camera crew has some hilarious snide remark, we want to make sure you get every hilarious detail.
Well, and most of our production is like today, where you call me on the way home from work,
That guy is going to be really pissed off in just a few minutes.
Going for a ride.
He's going to be like, oh man,
be in the next county.
This is bad. So this, by the way, I'm going to just interrupt you for just a quick second. This is going to initiate, but some of these safe planes take a little bit of doing to initiate. There it goes. So don't be freaked out if it takes a second to initiate. Most of the time you just have to let it on the ground and actually let it stabilize, because these things are very sensitive, okay?
Yeah.
Same is true on sailplanes. I don't know why that is. I think it's because they sit on their belly and they're allowed to tip. So anyway, so go ahead. So I call you on the way home.
You call me on the way home, and it's like we figure out how much time we have, what the wind conditions are, what planes we need to do, and then it's like I get stuff done while you're coming home so that we can have as much time as possible.
Yeah.
So we need it to be easy, because it's already a thing.
It's not that we need it to be easy, it's that we need it to happen.
We need it to be fast.
We need it to be fast and furious.
Like
okay.
This. Ready to go.
So, speaking of, 4-minute timer here.
Okay.
Hey, let's do a safe launch. That's safe. We did it. That landing was AS3X. That first landing was AS3X today. Okay, just to show you how easy it is to hand launch. 30% throttle. I did have to jank the stick back a little bit there. Out of safe. Here we go. Look how far away it is already. Goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. I can't resist. I'm out of throttle.
Okay.
That is just awesome. You good, camera crew?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to our left.
Okay.
Fast.
Thanks.
Full speed. So, guys, the reason we kind of share some of this inside baseball stuff with you is because we want you to know that we genuinely care what you think, but we genuinely have limitations that we have to live and reside within. It's not like we're trying to make it low quality, folks. It's not the way it is. But it's either that or you wait for like 3 weeks for content until stuff shows up. They just last month released this product.
Mm-hmm.
It was May 1st that it came out, okay? We didn't know about it until last week, okay? When we found out, we bought it. It was triple the cost of what we spent last time. So we know we're willing to invest money and time and lots of effort on this channel. We are gonna make whatever it is you guys need happen. But we can't make everybody happy for everything. We just want you to see this awesome stuff because really, what we're trying to do here is help new people get into the hobby, prevent one and dones, and bring people back that have given up or quit. Quit for a variety of reasons, whether it was a one and done sort of experience, whether it was a bad experience with a crappy plane, whether it was a lack of skill and maybe a premature, too complicated plane, or maybe it was just simply getting out of the hobby because they lost access to a flying field and now they're back in a place where they can fly. Our goal is to expand the hobby, and not in such a way that we have a bunch of upset people that spent like $1,000 on the wrong plane for the first one, but so that you guys can love it the way we do. Enjoy it with your family, enjoy it with your friends. Hopefully, if you're lucky, you won't have to film somebody like me flying. This plane is hard to fly, or hard to film, right?
Yeah. A little speedy.
It's so fast. Guys, I'm really actually quite enjoying it today.
And really, in person, it's really easy to see.
The other thing too, folks, the technology, the stuff that's available, the planes that are coming out today are so much better than even when I started just 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. 20 years ago when I got into RC for the first time, 25 years ago, something like that, stuff was nothing of which we are experiencing these days. 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, so we're gonna just land it. We're gonna respect the timer, reluctantly, very reluctantly. Look at that beauty. It just calms right down, guys. And then right before we get to the ground, we'll kind of stall into it, drag the tail.
I can't believe how easy that is to land.
Oh, it's super easy to land. What's so crazy is that the other day, okay, when we landed it, and we'll probably put that video at the end because this has been so good. Hey, by the way, Into the AM, they've been good shirts.
Mm-hmm.
You should check the link in the video description. Also for this, you should buy this plane. Honestly, you know, between this and the V1200, if you're looking at both of them, I gotta be frank with you. If you have a place like this to land, we're pretty spoiled with our landing strip. We know that, okay? The V1200 has a lot of features, and boy, it is just an amazing plane. However, this plane fits the bill better. I think it does what it's supposed to do totally fine on 4S. Okay, 4S 2230C. I mean, it's not even, compared to some of the packs we're using right now, they're cheap. Okay, they're cheap and readily available. There's tons of them out there. I just feel like this is a better plane for that application. When you want to just whip that thing back and forth at just insane speeds and, you know, so fast that it's like hard to see, this plane does it. The V1200 adds an element of flaps, which are only used for landing. Let's be honest, you're not going to be doing a lot of slow passes with the V1200. That being said, I also feel like the landing gear are maybe just a little bit weak because you got to grease those landings. Otherwise, they bend back. Now, they don't break or anything, and they still retract, but you have to break them back, you know, forward a little bit if you have anything less than a perfect stellar landing. Now, that being said, it does calm down nicely slow, and it does land okay. But most of you guys that have grass strips, I feel like this plane is better. It's cheaper, it's small, it's easy to get out and where you want it to be. By the way, we did tape the canopy for our first 2 flights. That one we used Megan's earring to cut the tape because we didn't bring a knife. And so we split it and it didn't pop off, so the magnet was fine. The magnets on the 1200 are insane. They are like so strong, it's crazy. As it goes by, it might feel like you're getting an MRI or something. So anyway, it's good. If you don't get the joke, just look up MRI machines. So that being said, this plane is awesome, the V900.
And the color scheme on this one is better.
Yes, that's true. It's more visible in the sky. You get a sky like this, it's glorious. It's very good to see up, it's good to see down, it's good to see the difference. It's very easy to see this direction as it's flying towards you because you've got that bright, oh well, not bright, but you get a black line on the leading edge of the wing. That was lacking on the V1200. Now the V1200 is more expensive. It's definitely there. If you have a good landing strip, it should be no problem. But that being said, you need a long ways to settle into your landings. Okay, even with the flaps, which by the way, they didn't talk about a flap to elevator correction. If you haven't seen my videos, we show that on like the Second Thoughts video, and it is a huge improvement. That being said, you don't really need flaps on this because who cares about the rollout? It's going on grass. So very cool. It hits all the check boxes that I demand of a plane like this. And if you haven't already experienced one, it's definitely worth a look. It's very fun. A couple things to note that are maybe not so pleasant. When you're flying that thing and you are on it, the ESC heats up and you will not be allowed to give it throttle. If you just came off of full throttle and you were just doing a pass for like a minute at full throttle, it may reject your input for throttle. So you need to be aware of that. Luckily, it flies so sinking fast, you won't even notice it. You may have noticed on the last flight, we had a little bit of a predicament over here. That's because it didn't actually give me throttle. So watch for that. Feel the thing out. Don't go balls to the walls. 100% throttle for your entire first flight, but you'll probably lose it if you do that. I think it's a heat issue on the ESC. Now, I could turn on the telemetry and see if it would tell me that stuff, but it's, you know, I don't have it on, so I don't care. I don't want to listen to the British chick warn me about the heat. I just would rather fly it and know what's going on. Also, the packs, I think this plane is going to be a little bit mean to a 30C pack. You might want to think about going with a 50 or 100C 2200 4S if you're going to do that. Yes, you can fly it on 3S. I feel like that'd be a little bit lame. You'll probably get a higher flight time, a longer flight time on a 3S. You might push it a little bit harder, but I almost feel like everything is going to hold up better on a 3S configuration. But again, a little bit lame. If you can fly this on 4S, fly it on 4S, because it's the excitement that you're after with this plane. NX8 flies it great. Absolutely no problems with that. You wouldn't need the NX8. You could do the NX6. If you're getting an NX6 though, you're crazy to get an NX6 when you can get an NX8 for 40 bucks more. You get the knob, you get this extra switch, you get the extra channel. NX6 is a 7-channel transmitter. If money is a factor, save it and buy the NX8. You'll be happier. You're going to get more life out of it than if you buy the NX6. And by the way, when you go from an NX8 to something else, you'll be going from the NX8 to something huge, something very expensive that you won't even be able to fathom breaking the bank for today. Trust me, this is how this works. You buy this and you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm buying an NX8. And the next one you're buying is 2,000 bucks. Okay, this is the way things go. Take it from my experience. The first radio I bought was an NX8 or said DX8, and I bought it used. And then the next one I bought was a DX18. So it's not like I haven't done this before. Okay, so the NX8 is great. Love it. The NX6 was great. We had no problems with it. Well, I mean, just a couple of little glitchy things that will get fixed with firmware updates at some point, but I don't really care about them. You know, a little beep here, a little weight there, no big deal. Everything has worked great in terms of the radio transmission, in terms of the forward programmability. That being said, you can do a lot of that on DX line. I'm not suggesting anybody buy the DX line unless it is strictly you're getting a really good deal from a buddy that's getting out of the hobby or something weird like that. Here's why. This is the latest and greatest. It's got more processing power. When they start releasing new features, you are eventually going to get left in the dust. And I do not want to encourage you to get left in the dust. Okay, if you buy it used for 50 bucks or something crazy, great. Get a good deal, enjoy the good deal. Be prepared to have something like this when the new features come out and you can't live without them. Okay, that's why we're pushing the NX8, because it's going to cover more bases than the NX6. And the NX6 does a great job at that. So let's just be honest. Everything feels the same, everything works the same. All right, next up, we're going to show you the build on this. It was super smooth, super fast. And then what we'll do is we'll probably go ahead and throw in, unless our audio quality is terrible, which we're expecting because the wind is blowing right at us, then we may actually show that nighttime hurried up flight first. But either way, there's 3 flights. You've seen 2 of them here. And you'll see the other one up front. Just so you can see it works up there too. And up front is where we fly with our runway, just in case you aren't aware or you haven't connected the dots on our property. We're going to try to get you some more footage back here too, because it's just a beautiful place and we need to use it. We need to use it. We just cut hay. So that's why this area looks so perfect, because it looks like a giant yard when we don't have hay this high. So it's pretty cool. And also, in case you guys hadn't figured out, that's why we grow grass hay and not alfalfa, because all you farmers out there are like, why don't you grow alfalfa? Well, because I want grass hay, because grass hay is easier to land upon. You may have noticed. But anyway, that being said, lots of inside baseball on this video. The V900 is very cool. Check the link in the description below. You can buy one for yourself, buy the battery, buy the transmitter if you don't already have one. We're not going to link to a receiver up top, but we always have those down below if you're buying a plug and fly. And that's the other thing, guys. Don't feel bad if we review a plane, you don't care for it, but you like the way that we cover it. Give us a thumbs up. Don't punish us because you don't like this particular plane or that particular plane. Help us out. When you give us a thumbs up, it really does help YouTube to point us into a broader direction, and more people will find our channel and they'll get the help that they're looking for. I mean, 100,000 subscribers is dinky on YouTube. Okay, it's dinky. We're small fish, and you have helped us to get to the small fish status, which is much bigger than where we started, and we really appreciate that. But let's be real, guys. Not very many people know about our channel. We want to help get the word out, tell people about it, but mostly the best thing you can do is like the videos, watch the videos, subscribe, and click the bell for notification. And if you want to help support us financially, we don't have a Patreon account. We don't beg for money in that way. What we do instead is we ask that when you're going to spend money on this plane or that plane, just buy from our links. It's not like you're paying any extra, but you will be helping support us, because you know, those companies know that you're buying the planes because of something we said or something you saw in our videos, or maybe, you know, you liked us, or maybe you hated us and you wanted to support us anyway. I don't know. I don't know why. But the point is, that's how you can support us. There's 5 different ways, and we appreciate you doing any or all of them. And you've been an awesome audience, and we're going to keep putting out these videos as long as you keep coming back. And the camera crew just flew on camera for the first or second time, actually, technically, but it was first time successfully the other day on the Aero Scouts. If you haven't seen that video, you might want to watch it. It's a 2.5-hour video long, so not surprisingly on Brian Phillips RC. But if you just go to the end, me and my son fly together, and then Megan flies for you. It was very reluctant, but she did it. And she did have some level of success because she was practicing a little bit, unbeknownst to me. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, V900, it's a winner. It's a 2 thumbs up, very cool plane. I liked it a lot. Megan liked it a lot. She had to film the thing and she still liked it.
Yeah, that's very cool. I'd like to actually watch you fly it.
Yeah, like actually watch it. When she's filming, I'd hold up a mirror so you can see what I'm talking about. She doesn't get to watch. She has to co-witness this little object through, and she doesn't get to enjoy it. So, but for me, it's great because I can always go back and scrutinize my screw-ups, scrutinize my mistakes, and then get a little bit better as a pilot. Hey, I'm telling you, you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your victories. Although every time you get a greasy, smooth landing, it really does help to build your, you know, confidence in piloting RC aircraft. There is a lot. It's just like golf, guys. Well, in this sense, it's a mental thing. Okay, anybody can fly the plane with some practice, but getting from here to there, it's all about surrounding yourself with people that encourage you and help you to find that success. Not people that are going to cut you down for making mistakes, but people that are going to encourage you in the good behaviors and then help you work out of the bad behaviors, because a lot of those bad behaviors are not, it's not like you're a bad person because you fly at 70% throttle or higher all the time like Esteban, my buddy. It's not like he's a bad guy because he does that. It just helps him to feel more confident because he's never going to stall the plane if he's at 70% throttle until the battery dies, right? So those are the types of things that you surround yourself with, people that are going to help you to become a little bit better every time you fly. Even if that means once in a while you crash into each other or whatever. That's a good old time in RC world. But that's trip of the, what am I trying to say? Tip of the day. Tip of the day. Surround yourself with people that are going to help build you up and not break you down. And you don't have to be just in the RC world, but that's a big part of it. It's a mental game. Play the mental game. Find success. Every time you have success, celebrate it. Every time you have failure, learn from it. You will be a better pilot every single day because you're always asking questions. You're always learning new things. You're retaining a little bit once in a while. You're trying not to repeat the same mistakes, even though everybody kind of does that to a certain extent. Just don't repeat them a million times, okay? If you can learn from one mistake and never make the mistake again, you're going to be an excellent pilot because you can only make so many mistakes so many times. So, but if you're human, learn from every mistake. Try to minimize how many times you repeat it. Any other good pointers before we go to the build?
No, that was pretty philosophical.
It was philosophical. Anyway, so yeah, stick around for the build. It's quick, it's easy, and then the last part of the video, we'll go ahead and throw the flight from the other night where we were racing Mother Nature. Guys, come back for more. We appreciate you. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We got the V900. This thing looks so cool. There aren't landing gear. It's so cool. High contrast, yellow, or excuse me, orange, not blue. Thank you, Horizon. Okay, so we are gonna fly this on 2200 4S, supposed to go 120 miles an hour. We're gonna land it in the grass right here, if all goes to plan. Holy crap, that thing is crazy.
Oh my God.
By the way, we're out of safe, obviously. No trimming is in it yet. That's idle. Look at that prop. Oh my goodness. That is insanity. Oh my goodness.
Oh, people, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna try to relax a little bit. 4-minute flight time here. Look at this, folks. Watch this. That is insanity, guys. I'm out of throttle, by the way. Holy crap, that thing is so fast. On behind the house, over the back. Coming around, we're gonna try a low speed pass. Let's go 120 miles an hour, this plane will. Okay, just coming over the tree line, out of the throttle. We're gonna get into it now. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go, don't be zoomed. That is like a bug. That is insanity. So cool. See the prop? You hear the prop making that?
Yeah.
So cool, folks.
Oh my God, it's killing me.
Are you good?
I'm fine.
I feel like so bad, like I want to trim a little bit, and I can't get to the controls in time. That thing's gonna settle down nicely. Oh, jeez. In my camera crew, if she gets half of this, I'm gonna be thrilled. Going up high. That's what you call unlimited vertical, folks. Wow. I thought the V1200 was crazy going between us and the house.
Yep.
Here we go. Up, back down. Folks, I gotta confess, I taped the canopy on because I was scared, and I'm glad I did it. And it is not calm right now, it's windy. I wonder if it's gonna land okay for us.
Oh, you should think about that.
Maybe. I have 4-minute flight time. 4 minutes goes real quick when you find a plane like this. Hey, guys, you wanna know how to land a plane like this? First of all, there's safe. Let's show you safe here in a minute. Okay, here's safe. Look how rock solid that is, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Hands off. Got a little bit of throttle in there. Just keep it moving. I'm not even looking. Not even looking. Bad idea, by the way. Okay, so bank, elevator up, elevator down. Guys, safe calms this thing down like incredible. Guys, I'm not a big proponent of safe for experienced flyers, but man, this is gonna be nice. If you're having trouble getting that thing down with orientation, remember, safe is your friend, not your enemy. Better to swallow your pride and live to see another day than to crash and have your pride all alone without your V1200.
Or your V900.
Or whatever it is. whatever the thing is that you're flying right now. Yeah, the V900s today. Guys, this thing is incredible. It's cool, but it's like insane.
I know.
They said insanity at 4S, and they were not joking. This is the type of thing where you might want to wear a hard hat, just in case. Guys, it's like really stable when you go slow too. That's the thing that's crazy. I like did not expect that even like remotely. Now, anybody else have the NX8? I've noticed that I have a lot harder time getting to the trim buttons on the NX8 than I ever did on my DX18. I don't know why that is. Leave it in the comments below, folks. I truly love the NX8, but the NX8 is a little bit harder for me to find those buttons when I'm not looking. Okay, that was my warning. Man, that thing takes off like crazy. I think we're gonna land right at the 4-minute warning. We just elapsed the 4-minute flight time. We've been out of throttle so much, I feel like we're probably safe. Give it a little bit of throttle to tractor the prop. I am gonna actually put the tail fully between my legs, and I'm gonna just keep a little bit of throttle here, and I'm just gonna use safe because I can. What? I wasn't worried about the rollout. Holy goodness gracious, that was awesome. Throttle holds on. That is incredible. I can't believe I landed that in no feet. What are the chances of that? Oh my goodness. Okay guys, initial thoughts. Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, they say insane on 4S and they aren't joking. Now I flew mine, let's call it 30 seconds of actual flight time. Beyond the 4, I'm respecting the flight time, okay? Camera crew, will you hold this with one hand?
Sure.
Notice how easy it is to hold with one hand?
It is.
I want to show you guys the telemetry data. We probably have some telemetry data that will be exciting. 5.5 volts on the BEC. That is crazy. The x-axis was 11.94 Gs max. That's crazy. Wow. Okay, so here's the thing, folks. The V1200 relaxes enough for landing, but it does take a long ways for landing. Now, you can land it on a strip, but you do have to set up a lot of elevator correction. Now, you may have noticed on this plane, there is no pesky flaps. To be honest with you, when you're not landing on landing gear, you don't really need the flaps on this plane, okay? You could set up flapperons. I would highly recommend not doing it, because when you lose one aileron, your performance will suffer on a plane that's this incredibly insane fast. I cannot believe I landed with safe. I feel like I'm less of a man now. But here's the thing, you know what? My V900 lives to see another day. Truth is, I could have landed it out of safe, and I think it would have been okay, because to be honest with you, it flies pretty stable when you're coming in. You do have to, okay, so I'm gonna talk to you for just a quick second about tractoring, okay? Throttle holds off. That's tractoring, okay? Just note where I have to be to get it to tractor. I'm barely anywhere, okay? I'm at 5%. At 4%, it doesn't even quite kick on. Now, at 3 or 2%, it's probably gonna be on because the air is gonna be blowing through it. Okay, throttle holds on. Why do we do that? Because then this acts like a flat plane worth of drag. It is equivalent to having a round piece of clear plastic. I don't understand how that's possible, but it's supposed to be true. I think of it more like it's a percentage of that flat plane depending on how fast it's moving, the pitch of the prop, and a variety of factors. But my understanding is, this is what I've heard from smarter people than me, that acts like a flat plane. So that's a lot of extra drag, folks. Now that's provided you aren't pulling it with a net increase in position, okay? So as soon as you get to a certain point where this starts pulling you faster than you're gliding, that's when it becomes less drag. There's a coefficient there where it starts taking over and it starts pulling you forward, okay? Because this is a tractor prop, you're gonna actually be slowing it down with throttle. I know that sounds a little bit backwards, and it is. So, all things considered, guys, Really good protection on the ailerons. I like that. They held up really well to that 0-foot landing. I thought the thing was gonna skip from here down to Mexico, but it didn't. It landed right there. It was like yeah, like that.
That's crazy.
I totally did not expect that. V900, guys, cool plane. I really like it. I like it so much. The camera crew is gonna hate me because we rushed around to film this.
We gotta do it again though.
We gotta do it again. Guys, we gotta do it again. If the audio quality is terrible, again, we apologized. That's our shotgun mic.
I know, the focus was terrible. This time of night is so hard, I'm sorry.
Well, it's better than an hour ago when the sun was right there, burning our retinas out of our human flesh.
Yeah.
So we couldn't have done that.
I still have eyeballs now, so that's
good. So we did save the eyeballs. We always save our balls for you, YouTube. But anyway, getting back to the point, the V900 is awesome. Good visibility top and bottom. But let me just remind you about something. This is not an overly huge aircraft.
No.
And it's going at like 120 miles an hour or better. I would say probably better. 3S might be more fun because, to be honest with you, there is a point in my experience where a plane goes from being, wow, that's incredible, to, you know what, I'm just like genuinely scared for my own safety and the safety of the airplane that I so love and my camera crew.
Thanks. I'm always third on the list.
And the hay. Don't forget the hay.
At least they
Did you show the people the hay?
At least I was better than the
Look
hay.
at that beautiful tarp, folks.
Wow. Yeah.
We are serious farmers now. We got tarps on our hay. So anyway, if you're curious, everybody always gives me terrible time about saying hay all the time. Well, hey, I'm a hay farmer, so hay is what we grow.
What are you supposed to say?
I don't know, guys.
No, I think they give you a come about that too.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, all right, you heard the whole story. Hopefully this is the end video, and most of you have clicked off, and we had some amazing flight, and I didn't use safe because that was kind of embarrassing. But you know what? Let's just be honest. This plane is so cool that you know what? I'm gonna swallow my pride for you and just show you how nice it is to have that safe. In the low light conditions, it doesn't show up on camera. The lighting conditions are pretty good. This thing has a black stripe on the front. Honestly, if there's anything I've learned from this plane, it's that Horizon missed the mark on the blue on the V1200. The funny thing is I love the V1200. It's a very cool plane. But again, it's one of those that's just like scary to fly. 140 miles an hour it's kind of insane in this size class. Like, it's legitimately scary to be going that fast so close. Now, do I want to go faster? Of course. But there's a legitimate fear. And, you know, you got to remember, like 6 years ago, I was flying the Sport Cub S UMX and I was scared. So now just think what it's going to be in 6 more years. Will it be me and Elon on the way to Mars? I won't be able to annoy you as much there, camera crew.
That's true. Is Elon going to film for you? I haven't asked him yet.
I don't know. I wonder how fast that craft will go. Maybe we can do our own Vario.
I bet Elon would love that.
Anyway, all right, guys. If you haven't already bought this thing, okay. If not, for our tender love and care for the camera crew and her painful filming of this thing, please, when you buy it from the links below. Please do us a few favors. If you hated the video, we're sorry. If you love the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more of the footage, you'll be helping us. If you want to see less of the footage, YouTube told me just go ahead and give us the thumbs up anyway, and you'll see less of it. Maybe. But anyway, really, all joking aside, click the bell for notifications if you guys are subscribed. We have so much content coming out. We don't want you to miss out on any of it because we do put a lot of effort into these videos, mostly the comedic lines about Elon Musk. I mean, we really sit down and think those out before we do our videos. This plane is awesome. It's really fun. It's a little bit scary at full speed, I'll be frank with you, but it's a lot like the 1.2, except you can see it better. And because you don't have to put it down on mains and make a greasy perfect landing, because the mains on the 1.2 are a little bit on the, I don't want to say they were weak because they weren't weak. It's just that they, like, if you don't get it right, you're going to suffer consequences pretty much every time. And by the way, the AS3X works really good on this. Safe works really good on this. Super impressed with the way this thing calms down for as really, truly insane as this thing is. Okay, don't run into your head with this. don't cut your hand off. Watch our build. You'll note that we had the prop start on us. I talk about the -130 for throttle hold and why I don't like it, and how you can resolve the problem when it happens to you. Hopefully you'll be careful and you won't have your prop installed. But if you do, just seriously, you need to be careful. Hang around, watch the build. Maybe you've already seen it. This is probably gonna be the end video because we're gonna try to get you better lighting for our follow-up. And so that'll probably be the beginning, if it is a beginning. We thank you for sticking around to the very end. Our videos are long, we know that. We're trying to teach people that don't know what they're doing how to do some of these things, because believe it or not, there will be some new pilot that tries to get this thing. If you're that person, we apologize. Don't quit. There are much more appropriate planes for you, and I'm talking to you. You know who you are. Come back for more. YouTube, it's Rock Nuts! We have this box. I wonder what it could be. We're gonna open it up. I suspect you may already know, because you probably just saw it fly. If you didn't, oh my goodness, it's a V900. Not to be confused with the V1200, which is 1.2 meters, has retracts. This one is also super awesome. Okay? Has a black bottom for high visibility, and you'll notice that it's not blue.
Nice.
Which was one complaint we had with the 1200, even though that plane is really high quality and super nice, but also very scary, as in insanely fast. This one is a high-speed sport airplane for intermediate pilots. What that means is it'll get away from you quick.
It says easy to fly.
We'll see. Does it say easy or does it say easier?
It says easy.
This has save select, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm pulling it out like this. Just be careful you don't drop things on the floor. Some of these boxes are stuff stored on the bottom. I've been fortunate to not do that yet, but as many boxes as we've opened, you'd think we've done it by now. But anyway, so this thing is basically a hand launch in just kind of a belly land sort of situation here.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
We're gonna set it up with the NX8 just because that's our style. You could use the NX6 and it would work just fine. I don't think you would have any problems. I don't know if this has flaps, so I'm guessing it will just carry and carry and carry and carry forever. If that's the case, we're gonna get intimately familiar with slipping on this plane. And we're just gonna go through the process of unboxing. Of course, as usual, as per typical with Horizon Hobby products, or E-flite in this case, which is a Horizon Hobby brand. We've got a really good manual. It comes with a bind plug. This is equipped with the new AR637TA, I believe. It might be a 631. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, because I don't know which one it has. But that's why we're doing a bunch of these planes, because they just re-released. Ah, look, here it is. Orientation addendum. Okay. So that's an addendum. What's this? They said, evidently somebody forgot to cut these. So we can sign up 8 times for that. Well, that's pretty cool. Maybe it was cheaper to just print 8 of them. So like, we're not even gonna cut them. Okay, so this is one addendum that is in our manual. So I'm not sure what your manual says, but this is gonna tell you. So 631, that's what we were just talking about. The AR631 is great. And the only drawback on the 631 compared to the 637TA is that if you have the smart receiver, you have to have a smart receiver to get packed voltage telemetry, as opposed to if you have 637TA or a 637T, which has the barometer in it. That one you get pack voltage, and then if you have a smart receiver, you'll get all the telemetry from the battery, from a smart battery. From a non-smart battery, you're still gonna get the pack voltage, which is really nice. So I like having that. At Horizon, you really should be throwing that up. Figure that out. Figure it out, guys. Okay, we got the prop in here. We got some Velcro, a couple of screws. That's a pretty simple nut and bolt sack. I like planes when the piece count is low, and the piece count is low on this thing. Look at this, there's like 4 pieces in here. I'm loving it.
My favorite.
Yes, the camera crew loves it when they're low piece counts. That looks really nice too. I love the high contrast from top to bottom.
I also
very,
love that.
very good. Okay, so this is a little bit weird. You have to undo this thing, and then it lets go of the sack. Once it lets go of the sack, you can pull it out. Thick, heavy plastic around the wing. Wing is well protected. That's one thing we almost never have problems with packaging from Horizon. We actually had a package today that showed up with 3 batteries in it. And you could tell that somebody had taken it and kicked it like this, and then loaded it into the FedEx truck. And then the FedEx guy was like, hey, go long. And he threw a perfect spiral right out the door. It was pretty cool, but then none of the batteries caught on fire yet. We'll find out. So no big deal, no big deal.
I don't think that one was on her.
I mean, whenever they're hazmat, you know, they always like throw it extra hard.
Kick it really far.
Kick it as far as you can.
Right where that label is, the
Like
big warning label. Yes,
Yep,
kick,
exactly.
that's where you kick the box.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, we got the wing. Horizon is the only company that would put a plastic bag over the connection.
To protect them.
That is pretty amazing. Hey, you know what we got to be doing?
What?
This is a 631. I was just thinking we might need to do flap rounds and spoiler rounds, but let's not. We'll come back to that if we need to. The thing that's nice is with forward programming, guys, it is so easy to add that feature. Oh, I got a bubble. I got a bubble in my decals. Wonder why that is. See that? Watch this. I'm gonna see if I can walk that out. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna poke that with a pin. Check this out. If you guys ever get something like that, I'm gonna tell you, especially on a fast plane like this, you better pop it. Pop. Check this out. Yeah, buddy. Because that sucker will not pull off, but I don't want to find out I'm wrong. That's really uncommon. We almost never have problems like that on E-flite planes. So, but it happens, so there you go. Okay, so this is that higher density foam. So it's real stiff wing, unlike the last plane we reviewed, which was not stiff.
Also not E-flite.
Yeah, definitely not.
I really like the color scheme on this one.
I did too. Way better than the 1200.
Better.
Which is funny because the 1200 is like a huge upgrade from this plane.
I like the way the 1200 looks when it's sitting on the counter. Flying through the air.
With a blue sky.
Somewhat challenging.
Yeah, when it's going 140 miles an hour.
Yes.
Like legitimately 140 miles an hour. Not just like pretend made up scale 140. It's like real 140. Don't screw up 140.
Yes.
But watch this, guys.
Nice.
You better work your elevator like that. Exercise it. Otherwise it isn't gonna work. Look how thick that control horn is.
Wow.
Goodness gracious. Loving it. Okay. So there's the tail. High contrast, black on the bottom. Looks like painted black, painted orange. I like the paint. Paint is good because paint doesn't blow off at 120 miles an hour. I think this one goes about 120 is what they're saying. Look how sleek and small that is. That is awesome. I'm actually quite excited about this plane. Do you remember the magnets on the V1200? It was so strong I could barely get the magnets off.
Yeah.
And then I used them to, I stuck it to this and I pulled it off the wall. Oh, that didn't happen. I made that up. Okay, so look at that motor. That is a beautiful motor. BL1500 brushless outrunner. It's an EFL 120, or excuse me, it's a 1260-15. So it's a 1260 kV, 15 size motor, it looks like. Beautiful. Love the way this plastic is just a really good close match. And it's thick. It's like the opaque, dark colored plastic. It's not the kind that shines through, which is really nice. Now this, I like the way that fits. That is not a smart ESC, so that means we're not gonna get full telemetry, which is a bummer. That's okay, I can live with that. Okay, so safe select. They have an extension wire. The wires are glued in. That's very nice. Looks like we've got A370 Metal Gear digital servos for both the elevator and rudder, which are pre-installed obviously and ready to rock and roll. Looks like we have a tape here. Might have been a production decal. That's what it is. Okay, so really good quality stuff here. When you get an E-flite product, you're generally gonna get the best of that class, okay? Doesn't mean it's the best plane that's ever been created or anything like that. Every one of these models is within a price point. And so what we've come to expect from E-flite is that they are going to perform at par, if not much better, than a competitive product of a similar price point. That is almost always the case. I think we've been very, very happy by and large with E-flite products. Okay, so looking at this short, look how many pieces are on. This is awesome. That is the way a build should be. Guys, look at this. Even with my blind plug, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, 7 with the included manual. That's pretty awesome. Okay, we're gonna plane stand, get set up, and we'll be right back. All right, so we're gonna build this V900 from E-flite here. First thing we did is that pesky warning about cutting your hand off. We fell off again, so weird. I don't know how that happens. Tom, thanks for the plane stand. We're still using it today, going strong. Okay, so I got myself a 2mm drive here, and it was too small. And then I have myself a 3mm, which is just too big. So I ended up going in the middle at 2.5, and it just kind of barely makes it. So it's possible that this one's actually a standard size, which would be an in-between size potentially. But either way, we got that off of there. Expose this nut here. We can show you what this prop is. It's an 8x8E, as an electric, 8 inches from here to here and 8 inches of pitch. Okay, so that's what that stands for. So we're gonna take off the nut. We'll just get this installed. Guys, always be super careful. These planes are incredibly powerful. 2 ways to get hurt in this hobby, believe it or not, is most likely not to get hit in the head by a plane going 100 miles an hour. It's more likely that you're gonna get your hand cut by the prop sitting in your plane stand in your kitchen. Seriously, be careful. Most people, the best thing to do would be to not put the prop on. Of course, we're doing this so that we can demonstrate how things work. And so you wanna use extra care and caution. We could leave the prop off, but we're gonna show you exactly how this goes together. And so what we're using is a crescent wrench, a Phillips #2, a smaller precision Phillips screwdriver as well. And then of course we're gonna be using that drive.
And that was a 2.5.
2.5 millimeters, kind of a little bit tight. Looked like maybe it was a little bit below that. So I usually do this. This is just gonna tighten down. It feels like you don't get very many threads on there. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I'm actually quite surprised, but there again, look at the threads coming up. Very, very pleased with the fit and finish on this model. This is a sharp blade, okay? So I'm going to try to spread out the load as much as possible without breaking the prop or getting cut, okay? Sometimes these props are sharper than others, and so I'm just being super careful. So that's braced, it's very tight. And by the way, thanks Tom for sending this. Thanks Tom for sending these. We really appreciate that. Was a nice gesture, and we're still enjoying the fruits of your labor on that. This is aluminum. You guys hear that? Love that noise. From the milling.
Really?
Yes. It's cool.
It's a little chalkboardy.
Nah, that is a beautiful, beautiful
The
fit.
spinners are really cool.
Yeah, same thing on the V1200. Folks, if you haven't seen the V1200, what we'll do is we'll probably go ahead and link at the end of this video to the V1200 because it's so similar. And I know that some of you will inevitably get into this video by accident looking for the V1200. Of course, there are no landing gear and there are no inboard flaps on the V1200. There's inboard flaps and there are outboard ailerons, which is really nice. If this thing ends up calling for flaperons or spoilerons, we should be able to set them up, but we'll lose one aileron worth of AS3X and or safe on a very fast plane. That can mean that the plane is allowed to flip over. We experienced that the other day on another plane. I won't mention what it was, but you'll see it when you see it, because we're not 100% sure of the release dates at this point. Okay, aileron. If you're gonna do that, remember you'll have to separate these out and then you'll consume an additional channel on these. The forward programming does make it quite smooth. It's a very slick transition if you need to do that. I would say for now, let's plan on not. We'll talk about maybe slipping. I wanna also talk about this addendum. The addendum shows the new direction of installation on the AR-631. You'll notice that the antenna goes back and the spectrum button, you see that button? It's going to the back, okay? Evidently, at the beginning of production, there was a change and they switched that to the other direction. I don't know why. Maybe they're getting too much RF on the antenna. Maybe they're having issues with where the antenna ended up being right next to where these control horns are. I don't know, I don't care, it doesn't matter. This is the addendum, just wanted to address that real quick before we get too far and we forget to mention it. This is gonna be flying on 4S or 3S, which would be lame. We're gonna do 4S. 4S 2200 30C Gen 2 Smart Packs. Currently we're charging them on our S2200. Of course, we're not actually charging them because it's not started. So we'll start it. And then over here, we've got, we'll show you how this works. This is so nice. You turn on your charger. This is totally from scratch. As you can see, sometimes when they're full, they end and then they go down to like 98%. So what I'll do is I'll take the Smart Pack. You can see it's 2200 milliamp, 30C 4S Gen 2. Okay, so no battery detected. Slide down so you get to your IC3. This is the IC5, this is the IC3. This is your balance lead if you need it. In this case, we don't. The data port actually transmits all the information about the cell balance. Excuse me, folks. And then it's going to tell us the charge, and then it's going to bring it up to the charge rate that we've set, which is 2.2 amps. Pretty cool. So then over here, this one looks like it's probably done because it's at 99%. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. It comes up, shows you the voltage right here, 16.8 volts, initiating smart charging. And then it should come up and show the amps counting up here on the charge rate. There it is, 0.3, 0.8, 1.3 amps, and so on and so forth. And then it'll give you how many milliamps of capacity has been forced into the pack. Fast charge down. Cool. So we'll just let that run. You'll hear some beeps periodically just to let us know that the balancing and everything is done. Those ones are already topped off, obviously, but if you were to plug those in after a full burn, you might actually have, you know, maybe an hour of charge time, maybe 20 minutes of charge time. Just depends on how fast you're charging. So that being said, we got 2 big screws on this plane, Phillips on the end, machine screws, 1 small. That's for the tail. The instruction manual calls for doing the tail first. So I'm gonna flip this thing around. We're gonna put the prop right there. This plane is not very big.
It's not, which is really nice.
900 millimeters, to be specific. Now, when you're first getting into the hobby, you think, man, I want a huge plane. You know what? There is a time and a place for everything. Big planes are awesome. Don't get me wrong. It is very cool to have big planes, but I'm telling you something. The more I get into this, the more I kind of like having a couple of small planes. Small planes that perform well are great. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I like Horizon Hobby, because they had their UMX line, the Ultra Micro Extremes, which is something we haven't seen much of lately, but that might change soon, hopefully, if all goes to plan. Okay, so now the elevator, and there's some really cool UMX stuff coming out. It's actually going to be awesome. Elevator is on the outside hole of the control horn, and then evidently it's on like the 3rd hole out on the arm. Okay, so the elevator is the only one you have to land. So we're just gonna put that on the outside hole. We are not gonna clip it, okay? We'll wait to clip this till later when we turn on the receiver, and then this will center, okay? You can also use a servo tester, but that's a wasted step for us. Okay, so this is a Phillips, which is kind of a different way of doing it. That goes in there. Normally that would be a hex. You'd basically have to use an Allen wrench or, you know, a driver set like this. I'm having trouble finding the hole though. I know, it's awkward. Yeah, I realize. So where is the hole? This is the right side I'm going to, right? Could be that I'm not quite totally aligned, possibly. That sure seems like it's sticking up a lot. And it doesn't seem to be biting anything, so that's always weird. I'm just gonna flip the plane over and verify real quick. Yeah, see, there's no hole at all, and you can see there's a plastic piece that receives the screw. All right, so, okay, so folks, we were having a little trouble getting this lined up, so what I did is I pulled the wing out and I realized that I was kind of hitting the front of the hole, so I just pushed on the elevator, just in front of the elevator a little bit, dropped down right away for me. So if you're having trouble getting that lined up, just push forward a little bit or pull your wing back out and just verify that you're lined up. I just had a little extra on the foam on the leading edge of this wing. So no big deal, it's going in perfect. Now, tons of threads, very good purchase. Good penetration, just the way we like it.
Definitely.
Yep, got to get it all the way in. We don't mess around here. Okay, see the nuts are there?
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. The only thing that concerns me about that is that the ESC is all the way back here. There is definitely Velcro here, but I'm concerned when we put that wing on, we're gonna have to be careful that this bolt doesn't go in and hit the ESC. That'd be maybe not so good. Okay, so, and by the way, I just pulled that canopy to show you inside of here. I guess hypothetically I could put that back in. Just let that sit. Okay, so the wing has to be wired up, so we have to feed this little Y cable through. Okay. Just get that to go through. And I literally just, oh yeah, that's like so easy.
So nice fit.
All right, so a couple of bolts here. It is kind of funny, sometimes we're accused of gushing over these E-flite models. Well, when you build a Dynam and then you build an E-flite, this is what happens. This is the real reaction.
They're not all the same.
No, not all planes are created equal. And the funny thing is, there is a difference in price, guys. I mean, it's not like really a question. But sometimes it's not even that big of a difference in price. It might be like 50 bucks. But man, if you're flying planes like this, let's be real, the 50 bucks, you can probably live without it. You know, let's just be real. This thing is not free. And if you guys are eating food and working for a living, this plane is a good value. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. Man, that looks so good. It looks just like the V1200. I actually like the way this looks better. Don't tell Horizon. Anyway, this one's cheaper, so again, don't tell Horizon. But I love the concept of no gear. You don't have to worry about rollout with this thing because you're just being landed in the grass. Now, I am very concerned about wear and tear on this. So this plastic here is gonna help. Got a good place to hang on to. Do not run this prop and chop your hand off. I'm just gonna warn you right now, throttle, it's a tractor prop, and throw, but don't do anything stupid and get your hand cut, okay? You gotta be a little bit careful about that with hand launches. Shouldn't be any problem. This thing's gonna be extremely powerful. I'm actually wondering if I'll probably launch it like this myself, but if you do that, just be careful you don't grab the canopy and have it drop out of your hand. So a couple of different ways you could do that. So just be mindful that this thing will spin and it will be bad if you get your hand in front of it. We're gonna go ahead and throw this here so that it's just in front. And we do need to get our elevator. It does come with Velcro too. So both sides of the Velcro equation if you want it. And it did come with extra control horn ends, which is super nice, clevises rather. So we'll hang on to those because it seems like we're always lacking those. We always break them on our Dynams. Sorry. Oh, we love our Dynams. Okay, so anyway, the next step we're gonna need to do is go ahead and get the receiver set up. So what we'll do is we will start by basically getting, well, we can't do the CG yet. We'll have to come back to that. One of the reasons I love working with Horizon Hobby models is because of this page here, guys, right here, this page. There's two pages. It's actually this. It shows kind of the all-up measurements. Shows what type of battery to expect. There's your 11.1 or 14.8. So basically 3 or 4S. 4S is 1800 through 2200. It shows the amount of throws if you're doing a plug and fly. Center of gravity is 78 to 82 millimeters, only 4 millimeters, wow.
And then your 4-minute flight timer.
Yeah, that's right. And then also, yeah, 4-minute flight timer. This is really where I like it for the computerized transmitter. Of course, this is a computerized transmitter, the NX8, so we'll go ahead and power this on. Okay, so we'll click, system setup, model select, all the way to the bottom, add new model. Create, choose what you want. We want an acro. So we'll go to create. You got any glares on there?
I'm good, actually.
Okay, so it does take a second for that to happen. Please take note of the fact that the NX8 has this knob. The NX6 doesn't. You can still do most of the functions you want to do because it is actually a 7-channel transmitter, especially there's no retracts on this plane, so you should be fine to do that. No problem at all. So anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to model type, verify we're in acro. Okay, model name. Now we can go in here. It shows the number, colon, space, and yes, you can change the number. So like if you copy one, it'll be like number 33 again. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna scroll over, you'll click the first letter, it goes black, and then you can select the character you wanna change it to. And in this case, it's gonna be the V900 Sport airplane. So I'm gonna call it the V900, and we'll come right back. All right, so we got the model name, aircraft type. This is where you want to look at the instructions on this page here. We'll go through the safe select switch designation here. And then of course they have a drawing that shows the center of gravity there. This is back when they had the AR631. So this is if you're using the bind plug. You can still use the bind plug, okay? And right here, this is where the setup is, okay? They recommend a high and low rate at 170% respectively. I'm gonna show you the way I do it. Okay, so the wing type is super simple on this plane. This is a regular wing type. And we'll just click next and then go to a plane that looks sufficiently similar to this plane. We might have had the best plane right away, actually, because it does look a lot like the acro, actually. This is an optional step, obviously. You know what? That's pretty close. Okay, and then we'll walk out. We'll have to do some stuff later. First thing, throttle cut. That's a safety feature, so I always like to try to get that set right away. Switch F or switch H. It says to set it to -130. I don't know why, but I'll go ahead and do that anyway. Usually I like -100. I've got my reasons. Okay, so you can see that my switch is pulled back toward me and it's not moving. And then when I unswitch it, it goes to that, okay? Just incidentally, the reason I don't like -130 is because if you go in to programming and you go like this and then accidentally turn on your throttle hold, what'll happen is it'll set -130 to neutral, to 0 or off. And then when you undo it, it's gonna go up by, not 30%, but it's gonna go up by 30% of 130%. So it's gonna be like there. So it's gonna start the prop. So that's why I just like -100. But anyway, it's not a big deal. You do kind of have to go out of your way to have that problem. So I'm gonna walk over real quick to monitor mode, make sure it's working, and it is. That's very critical on a plane, especially when you're setting them up inside like we do all the time. Okay, so this is where the wing type is normal. And it looks like we don't need to really do any reversing at all. So this should be super simple. All right, so now at this point, we've got the timer cleared. We need to change the timer. Timer is gonna be 4 minutes. I'm gonna set it to active for 1 out, which means when you go over 25% in this case, when you go over 25%, it's gonna start the timer. I'm gonna change 1 minute warning to nothing. This is very subjective here. 20 seconds to nothing, 10 seconds to voice, so it counts down. And then tone and vibrate for expiration. Clear? And this is where you could depend on some of your telemetry if you had the telemetry, but the 631 without an avian receiver is not gonna give you full smart feedback on your smart pack. If you have an avian receiver, not only can you do reverse thrust on virtually every plane, which may not make sense on every plane, but you get the data from your data port, and that passes back through even an AR631, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to have the 637T or 637TA for your pack voltage if you get an avian ESC. So just an idea. I'm not gonna upgrade it. I'm gonna be totally fine with this. I'm just gonna respect the timer for the moment. When we land, we'll check it with the XBC 100 battery checker and servo tester, and we'll see what the setting is or what we're left with, and then we'll go ahead and adjust accordingly. 4 minutes is gonna go by really quick though. Mm-hmm. All right, so that was about as simple as it gets. So we are going to go ahead and at this point go through the binding procedure. So the binding procedure will be pretty simple. We might just take a second and take our tools and put them away and come right back. Yeah. Okay, so before we bind, we're gonna set up our dual rates in Expo. My camera crew wisely recommended that we get that done now. I always seem to forget. Dual rates in Expo. Okay, so there's aileron, elevator, and rudder. Okay, so there's the 3 primary flight control surfaces. And I'm gonna click into aileron. I'm gonna switch it to switch F. For the Expo on 0, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. I'm gonna set it to 5. Then I'm gonna set it to 10, and then I'm gonna set it to 25. Drop down to 90. Elevator. Assign to switch F. You guys are noticing a pattern by now. 10 and 25. And down to 90. Okay. Switch F. And yes, you can do negative expo as just seen by me doing that on accident. Negative expo will make the sticks more sensitive. Okay, so there's your 3 settings. So the rationale behind my 3 settings as opposed to a high rate, low rate switch setting. First of all, I have a 3 position switch. Okay, so I want to use and take advantage of the full 3 positions. I want to start in the middle, which is going to be 10% expo with full rates. Okay, so 10% expo just softens the 6. I don't lose any throw at all. If I need less, meaning it is crazy and I can't get it to the ground, I can go up to 25% expo with dampening down to 90%. That means when I pull up like this to get away from a tree, it's only gonna go at 90% as fast as either of the other 2 modes. Okay, now if on the other hand, it's not sensitive enough to get me to the ground conservatively, then I can just go up to the expo. It will half the amount of expo that I've got. Okay, so I'm starting kind of in the middle. I can go way more or I can go almost nothing. But I want to have something there. Okay, so that's served me very well. There are very few planes where I've had to deviate from that. There are a few, I would say maybe 5 out of 100 I've had to deviate from that, and I deviate a lot. Generally, it's when I stick it in the wrong hole.
What can happen?
On that. When I do that wrong. That, not because I'm trying to be problematic here, it's just because sometimes I want to have more throw. But you know what, guys? The product development team at Horizon does a really good job. Like, let me give you an example. On the Timber 1.5, I've always gone to the inside hole on the rudder, and I've always gone to the inside hole on the elevator, and it's served me well because that plane is 3D capable, and it really makes it peppy then. However, on another plane that we just recently reviewed as the biplane, that was small, 850 millimeters, I put it on the rudder to the inside hole, and it didn't really serve us well. It didn't really do much of anything extra. So I felt like it just complicated things. And I didn't feel like the performance improved at all. So, you know, on one hand, it's very helpful on some planes, and on the other hand, it's not really helpful on others. A lot of times I agree with the way Horizon sets things up. I did want flaperons on that same plane, and guess what? They didn't really add anything to the plane. They just took away from the performance of AS3X and from the performance of Safe. Okay? I don't need Safe, but if you need Safe, you want the performance there. You don't want to be able to flip a plane upside down with Safe on because it acts weird if you get all the way upside down. Okay? Because it's like, I don't know what to do, and then the elevator gets involved. It starts doing this weird horseshoe corrections. It's a little bit scary, actually. Anyway, getting back to the point, that doesn't generally happen either. Okay, so we gotta get this elevator done after we get the battery in, so we're gonna go ahead and bind now that we have everything set. All of our switches are in our standard mode where we want them, so that when we set up the bind, our fail-safes will all go through as expected. I just don't want that to happen while I'm binding, and I wanna make sure I have clearance for the prop because I am going to secure the plane in the event that something goes wrong, which is an unfortunate reality that occasionally things go wrong. I try to plan on the worst case scenario and hope for the best. Okay, so we have 2 packs here just because they were too charging. We're gonna pull that off. I'm gonna turn this sideways actually because it's quite difficult to reach. Okay, so obviously we need to plug in our ailerons too because we never actually did that. The ailerons plug into, it says on the addendum, but it's the same on the addendum and page 10. So ailerons are on port 2, which is not uncommon. So these are already labeled. The black goes with the brown. The white goes with the orange. So that'll go into channel 2. Really easy. Nothing too difficult there. This is going to be one of those planes that's going to be a little bit tight. I'm nervous about these wires getting bound up in there, so I got to just be careful about that. Now, this is where we'd be able to start thinking about CG and how we want to handle the cables and the management of all that stuff. Sometimes these planes, they get so small that it's actually kind of hard to get the battery straps done, because look how tight this is in there.
Yeah, that's not very wide.
Not very wide. There's carbon fiber up here and up here, by the way. So that's one of the things that you get with Horizon that you won't on other brands, is just they think about the things like, yeah, we're gonna need carbon fiber there. Okay, I don't like where that antenna comes out. See that? See that? You could easily crimp that antenna cable. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how that lines up here in a minute. You see how I turn that sideways? That gives me something to hang on to. Okay, this is where you gotta be real careful. I'm gonna have the prop here. I'm gonna have the plane secured. My camera crew is well aware of the different safety protocols. Throttle cuts on. Everything is now turning off. The binding procedure is very easy. Safe select is super easy on the new setups, okay? So, we are going to make sure that we put our body in a safe spot. In the event of a malfunction, there shouldn't be a malfunction, but there should never be a malfunction. That's why they're called malfunctions. Okay, so you see how my arm is resting over the prop? So my hope is that it will stall out and not cut me, but I can't guarantee that. So I'm going to move my body. I'm gonna press and hold this button. Then I'm gonna plug in the battery. These things plug in super easy. It's flashing. I'm gonna keep my body in a safe place. And I'm going to press and hold this button here. And then I'm gonna turn it on with my nose. Oops. I missed my opportunity. I'm turning it back off. Luckily, it shut off and it didn't go into the binding procedure. So I'm pressing and holding this. Yes, I am using my nose. Binding. Okay, now I let go. This is where you want to be careful. Okay, throttle hold is on. Everything is alive. The auto config is done. Elevator moves, ailerons move, rudder moves. This is where we're going to be very careful. Test throttle. It didn't turn on. That's what we expect because throttle holds on. Now I'm going to turn this off while holding carefully. And that, my friends, is why you don't set -130. Throttle hold is on, and I want to show you how to fix that now. Gosh, I hate it when they tell us to do that. Okay, so I am going to unplug this plane. Well, did we see 2 dances for safe select?
I think that we did.
Okay, so we're gonna go back down to throttle hold or throttle cut. I'm gonna change this back to 100 and you'll see what happened. It started, okay? That's why you have to be super careful, folks. And that's why they recommend that you don't actually start this with the prop on, okay? I'm gonna disconnect the power and I'm gonna show you how to fix that for full safety. Throttle hold is off. We are bound, throttle's all the way up. This is the only time you do this. We're gonna enter programming mode on the ESC, so you don't want your throttle hold on. You actually need to be outputting 100% of output. We're gonna teach it the range from 100 down to 0, okay? This is where you do the exact same procedure. You assume that it's gonna be screwed up and then you do it safely. Plug in the battery, listen. Listen. Not to cats. Keep listening. We have safe select. We're in programming, stick all the way down, and then all your worries should fade away. And you're gonna wait for the initiation noise, which is standard, okay? If it doesn't start in a second, then I'm gonna unplug the battery and plug back in, and it should be reset properly. Okay, I'm gonna test it now. Throttle hold, okay? See, I don't have my throttle hold on and there's no throttle output. Well, why is that? Because it never initiated the ESC. That's what we expected to happen. Now I'm gonna power this down, power back up. I'm gonna hold it in case it starts. One dance, 2 dances. That means safe select is active. You also notice the prop didn't start. Over to monitor mode. Throttle's going up, throttle's going down. Okay, throttle holds on, nothing's happening. You'll notice that nothing's happening. That's good, better than cutting my hand off. Okay, so sticks all the way up, plugging in the battery, listen. Oh, I hope I didn't do that too quick. Okay. Okay, stick down. Listen. Okay. Okay. Okay, go ahead and start. Go ahead and start. Go ahead and start. You can do it. It might already be started. All the way up. All the way down. Trim down, trim down, trim down, trim down, trim down. That's to minus 100. It was at minus 98. Sometimes the sticks don't go all the way to minus 100, all the way to plus 100. So throttle hold is on, moving the throttle stick up, moving the throttle stick down. Safe is off, safe is on. Okay, so this is a little bit weird. Throttle holds on, it's not gonna work, so let's just go ahead and unplug it. Throttle holds off, sticks all the way up. Listening again, don't worry about the dance. Holding it for safety, listening for the beep, beep, beep. They may have an ESC programming guide in here. Okay, all the way down after the two. Now it's armed. Okay, listening. Okay, I'm gonna put this hand here so it stops the paper from blowing. Okay, throttle holds on. You'll notice it works now. Okay, nothing happens. Now, before we trust anything, full power cycle, both. Transmitter, okay. I'm gonna trim this back to center. That might start it, okay? So we need to be aware of that. Throttle hold is on, it might start. It may also not initiate the ESC. Okay, so now throttle hold is off, it may start. It didn't. Pretty standard operating procedure now. Notice there's braking, which slows the motor down, okay? Okay, so we got everything set there. Everything is kosher now, and we should be safe to go, so we can continue with our testing and programming. There's our timer. Okay, so a couple things real quick too as we're at it. There is a hole in here, which is nice for extra wires.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we don't have the convenience of extra wires there or extra room for wires, and you see what happens there. So you're gonna have to be careful that you get these wires where they need to be. Otherwise, it's going to cause a problem for you. Like this, that's gonna have to go forward. Because you see how there's this bulge here? Okay. I don't think you're gonna get it in otherwise. Okay. See that? It's gonna pop off while you're in flight. Okay, so the battery's gotta go forward, 2200 milliamp. Let's check for CG and safe select before we mess with that. Okay, so we're gonna flip the plane over. We're gonna get the elevator. Oh, you see it's in safe select, so it's trying to find level. So we have to make a safe select designation, which again, for safety reasons, until we have everything set, we're just gonna go ahead and do this pointing away from us. Okay, so safe select designation is evaluated. We review it over here. We have tons of channels on this plane, so we should have no problems. Okay, throttle holds on, sticks down. I wanna assign it here because I don't have the gear. Down and in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so it's working, okay? You'll notice I counted to 12. And okay, so you'll notice I went down and back like 12 times on the 11th time it took. Well, that's because they say 5 times that they mean 1, 2, 3. I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus, if you're on a 3-position switch, you go plus 100, minus 100, plus 100, minus 100, plus 100, minus 100. So you have to go 5 full sequences. Okay, so everything is set up. Now we can turn safe on and off. That's because we don't want the elevator to be in the wrong position. Okay, so safe is on, safe is off. Just AS3X only, we've given throttle so it's awake and alive. Okay, now that AS3X only, we can go ahead and center this control here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna look at this. We want that to be even right here. And so that means we need to come out a little bit. So we're gonna turn this a couple of times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's way too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks pretty close. We're gonna go with that outside hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, outside hole it is. Okay, clip it. Now we're gonna put this rubber hose over that, or O-ring, whatever you wanna call it, and then we're gonna test elevator, elevator, rudder, rudder. Let's put it to the correct orientation for easier testing. We'll switch batteries here in a second and go fly if we can. One, that's up, down, left, right, roll left, roll right. Okay, everything is set, safe. I wanna switch, I want this to be safe select on. So I'm gonna go into servo setup. I'm gonna switch the travel over to reverse, go to gear, click. Okay, so now safe is off, safe is on when I pull that up toward me, because that's the way I'm used to it. Always set everything up as much as you can to be used to it. Guys, we're ready to fly this thing. Without further ado.
CG.
Oh, CG, that's true. We do need to check the CG. We're not ready to fly this thing. Sorry, I'm getting excited because I'm seeing the sun go down. It's making me all excited. 78 to 82 millimeters. We're gonna mark this quick with a marker. And we're gonna use by the way, thanks Danny, for sending these. That was very nice of you. He got sick of seeing us doing it stupidly, and so he sent them, and we appreciate that. That's always really nice when people do stuff like that. Okay, so 78 to 82. So 78, okay. From the leading edge at the inboard most, okay. So I'm gonna just take, I'm just gonna use, oh man, I really wanna make it right. So I'm just gonna go here, really inboard. That's 77.98, close enough, I would say. And I'm just making a little detent, a little bump. I'm gonna go to 82. Okay. So here's 82. And you guys are noticing that I'm just piercing the foam a little bit, okay? The reason I pierce the foam is because, thanks Danny, is it's super easy then to chase back with a marker, and you can feel it when you have the plane upside down, okay? So you'll note that the battery's in backward. Let's go ahead and switch this out right now. Hey, one thing too, when you're done setting up a model, recommendation, turn off the transmitter, turn it back on, okay? It's gonna serve you well, I promise. And then occasionally go in and back up everything, okay? Because you don't want to be without that information if you were to break it, because there's an internal card and then there's an external card. It's just basically an SD card inside of that thing. You can take this apart and get it out if you want, which is nice if you ever have an accident and you break your machine, your transmitter that is.
So you're switching batteries.
I'm switching to the good one, okay? So that's undone. We'll slide this back. See that nut zerk's got glue on it. That's really nice. Did we even like tighten the screws on the wing? I can't even remember.
We did. It was super easy.
It was just like a non-issue.
Yeah.
I don't even remember doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now just in order to test, you see how that worked, guys? Now we've got the bulge up here. Okay, so let's test for CG right now. Oh man, I want so badly to fly this before it gets dark. Okay, so we have on the back hole, we're nose heavy or even. On the back, say tail heavy on the front and nose heavy on the front. So I would say we're actually pretty good there. So I am willing to run that for now. I think it's gonna work. All right, guys, see how I'm doing this. First of all, transmitter on as is typical within aircraft. Throttle hold is on and sticks down, okay? So now we're gonna plug this in with our hand out of the way just in case all hell breaks loose. Wait for the initiation. You don't wanna move around the plane a bunch like I just did, but it will wait until it's still. Okay, so we're good, and you notice it doesn't go. That would mean that braking is not on. If it goes, you don't ever hear that other pitch, that means braking's on. Braking is like this, when it stops the prop. Okay, that's good for flying around fast. All right, guys, we are gonna fly this thing right now. Hope you loved it. Check the link in the description below. This thing looks awesome. I bet it's gonna fly just every bit as good as it looks. And we hope that you guys will help support us by clicking on the links. You're gonna buy it anyway. Just buy it from the links. You'll help support us financially a little bit with that. And then obviously come back, watch more, give us a like if you think about it. It really helps us on the YouTube algorithm. And we're honored to just gone over 100,000 subscribers. So if you're just seeing this and we're like 200, give us a thumbs up. Guys, we couldn't have done it without you. So we're really, really honored and privileged to be in this position to be able to bring these reviews to you. And also leave your comments. We try to reply to 100% of them. It's getting harder and harder every day, but we want to try to give you guys that support if we can. So thanks for coming back.